I want you to consider the child's capacity in that moment. I want to consider how much time I'm giving that child. This drawing may seem a little bizarre to y'all. I work at a care farm. I work in Austin, Texas. I'm from Austin, and my job, a friend of mine had a farm. I had a girl that wasn't talking, and I brought a rabbit out. She started talking. I was like, this is amazing. What would she do with a goat? So I figured it out. I went to the farm. She loved the goat. She talked more to the goat. I was like, there must be something here. So we founded a care farm. And on our care farm, we have a big nasty llama named Jacopo. I don't even like him, but he keeps our goats safe. Jacopo stinks, and he spits at you. He's not a nice animal. He's not my favorite. And so I'm writing another book about sensations and things, and I wanted to illustrate that when Jacopo is stinky, I can co-regulate with my kid through that. My child that's in my therapy room, when Jacopo walks by and we're like, whoa, that smells like a llama. And if you've not smelled a llama, first, thank yourself. And second, you're really not missing out. But they're stinky. And so instead of just like, oh, you're fine, the kid, I can co-regulate. Oh, it does stink. Pinching your nose, it does stop the smell. But have you ever thought, why don't we just do this to like plug our nose, right? We pinch it. We provide proprioceptive input to our nose when something doesn't smell good. And then we might like press on our hands, like on our hand, be like, oh, I really don't like that. We're pushing, we're that proprioceptive. So this photo represents, I'm going to experience something adverse with this child, but I'm going to try and cover it up with a candle. And I'm going to give the child control and say, which candle should we light to drown out the smell of Jacopo together? What song do you want to listen to so we don't have to listen to whatever this is that's dysregulating to you? How can I bring control into having you help me modify the environment, right? So we light a candle, we like, woo, we make faces together. Think of how proprioceptive this is. That's a lot of proprioceptors you just activated in your face. Does it make you feel better to do that? Ooh, try it. You just release serotonin, right? Makes you feel better to make a weird face. So when your child's making weird faces, make a weird face back. Maybe you'll feel that regulation with them. Co-regulate with them rather than don't make that face with me. How does that face feel? Why are you making that face? How does that face, if I don't like that face, what face could we make instead? This one engages a lot of proprioceptors. So does that one. So if you don't like this face, make that face. Try and change up the activity a little bit. Maybe you could try headphones. Put on some headphones. Change the scent somehow. I do like the essential oils tend to not give headaches like the more the store-bought stuff. Synthetic scents, we did discover, actually bind molecules to your nasal cavity that last longer, and they might give some people headaches. So go with more natural. Just opening up an orange or opening up a lemon. Baking fresh bread. You all are nodding like you're feeling these sensations as I'm just saying them because your brain connects sensations in groups together that we don't even realize sometimes. And your kids are doing that as well. And they're not always as functional as you think. Let them wear sunglasses, a hoodie, fidgets. We got fidgets for, hopefully the place that you're with, they got fidgets for you as well. That's part of the TBRI culture is lots of fidgets. Things to do with your hands. Your hands have the most tactile receptors. Hands, genitals, and the back of your neck. So when you feel things, you got a lot of sensation, a lot of little signals coming in through your fingers. Get better tapping, rhythm repetition. That's how you speak to the brainstem to calm it down. Think about that. Anything that you do that is calming to you, even crying, ha, 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 that's rhythm and proprioceptive. You see how my body gets all those proprioceptors involved? Clapping, proprioceptive. Even when we're like, whoo, we might do this and flap and rock a little bit, rhythmic. Rhythm speaks to the brainstem. I've had children who come into my office and they are like way up here. And I match their rhythm. So I had a kid that came in and he was like, woo, woo. And so I just sat down and I was like, woo, hey, how you doing today? And I just matched his rhythm as he was doing whatever he was doing. Because I was like, we cannot go into my therapy gym with this amount of energy. You're going to break something. But I can't just go, hey, buddy, let's calm down. He's not going to mirror that. But he's like, whoa, hey, you got a lot of energy. And he's like, you're matching me. I'm feeling mirrored. And then all of a sudden, I might just do a little bit less as we're doing. And then, oh, hey, now our bodies are ready to start walking. Don't make it weird. Don't make it creepy. You know? But even if you've got somebody, you can just like tap your hand as you're talking to them, right? And they'll pick up on that energy and that rhythm that you're giving. Don't make it obvious. But do something like that. Get in better proximity. Sometimes you do better just feeling the person next to them. So proximity can be very helpful. A gentle touch with a firm pressure. Try this if you're in a group. Those of you that are all together, even at home, if you got somebody next to you, give them a light touch and then give them a firm touch. So touch them like lightly. And then actually lay your hand on them like you're going to like tell them something cool. There's a lot of giggling. That's nervous activation. The giggle is engaging your proprioceptors in your throat because you're like, ah. But guess what a giggle is? A giggle is rhythmic. Right? High-pitched means activated. It takes less breath support to go than it does ha, ha, ha. When you're calm, you can give a ha, ha, ha. When you're not calm, it's a hee. That's how you can tell with your kids. If your kid is constantly high-pitched yelling at you, you're like, dude, you need some air in your lungs. If you're talking really fast and really high up here, there's no air in his lungs. Get yourself an occupational therapist, help you stretch those out. Stretch out that core strength and get them stabilized so that they can have lung support so they don't scream at you all the time. That's another fun thing we can do. Firm pressure versus the light touch. The firm pressure should feel a little bit better. But how many times do we go up a kid and we're like, hey, I need your attention. And the kid's like, oh, you've got it. But I don't want to give it to you. Right? Versus two hands on them too. Sometimes just the way we touch them can make a difference. Flexion versus extension. When we come forward, that tends to be more calming. Coming back tends to be more alerting. So really thinking about how our body position is around them. Cold water through a straw, that's a fun one because the straw is very proprioceptive and it brings your body to midline, which is flexion. So those are both calming activities, calming sensory responses, but the cold water is alerting. So what that does is it matches the energy of the child that's very upregulated and up-energized by matching. I see you. I'm giving you something cold. I'm going to match you, but I'm going to give you other sensory input that is going to bring you down a little bit and make you a little bit more focused. So I want you to consider the things we talked about. We talked about perspective. That's us. We're asking you to consider the perspective of the child. But it is you that is doing the considering. With sensory processing integration, we're looking at the environment, the neurological input. Guess who has control over the environment? The adult. So the perception is on you and the environment is on you. This child's sensory system changes through our intervention and it is not their responsibility. As a child, they are simply perceiving and acting upon the sensations. So if we want to help them, we have to understand that that is on us. They are not going to just change on their own. We can't just tell them to sit still, eat that pea, look at this light, take those headphones off. Whatever sensory thing that they're doing, us telling them and making it their responsibility is not going to get us success. It has to be us making the work. Does that make sense? And it is up to us to give them the environment that helps them so that they can't fail. And it's us to change our perspective so we don't shame them for feeling ways that God created them to perceive, and then some relationship came in early and developed ineffective pathways. So they're still created for connection. They're still created for a relationship, but we have to be the ones that help them find that. The other thing I want to just highlight real quick as we're getting ready to wrap up, because I don't have time to do case studies with you, I did develop a free online resource. It's called The Calmer, so calmer@creativetherapies.com. and I'll just real quickly run through with you what that is. My husband and I developed it. It is based off of the same format of Dr. Perry's neurosequential model of therapeutics. So my husband helped me write the code to create this online assessment, and you can kind of go in and it goes by the different brain regions. So we're using that state-dependent functioning. We're looking at the neurosequentialness of how our body relates, but this is all based on sensations. And so you kind of go into this assessment questionnaire and you say, oh, my kid's eyes don't move well. That's the one I chose for this example. They have difficulty with sleep, and they're overly active and constantly moving. So I just say they have dysfunctions in those areas. And then if they do, try some of these things. You can try these things. And then, so it'll spit out areas of concern, and it'll tell you what part of the brain it's being mediated in. And then it will also give you some suggestions on how to help. And there's little triangles, and if you click on the triangles, it gives you more information. So I could talk all day about this topic. I hope you've learned a couple things today in the time that we've had. If you want more, you can read the book. You can go online. There's so many resources. We OTs, we're starting to align together, and we're starting to become trauma responsive ourselves. And it is my heart's desire to bring OTs to the table. So there's an OT out there on the podcast, or if you're an OT here in the room, come connect with me. We're actually creating alliances through the Trauma Responsive OT, TIOT, and Facebook is where we're currently meeting. We're working on getting an army for you as well. From an OT standpoint, Karen's army is getting really big, and we're just becoming a specialized force in that army. And so until then, you can use these resources that I've put out on there. And I hope that this talk has helped you empower to connect, right? Empower and connect, not just to connect, but empower and connect. The sensory realm falls under the empowerment of the TBRI principles that you guys are going to learn a little bit more about later on. And it is through our senses that we, watch it, show hope. Did you see what I did there? That's pretty fun, right? But it is through our senses that we show hope and care. So understanding a little bit more about our senses will help us be able to do that, I hope. So I would love if anybody has a quick question or something. We've got just a few minutes left. Does anybody have a question or a comment that I could repeat for those that are at home? Anybody have? And I've heard too that I know I keep talking about OTs, but I say that because there's a lot of people that have said once they pulled an OT onto the team, they kind of understood the whys behind some of the things. And I'm seeing a lot of heads shake. So does anybody have any comment? Yeah.
So how would you recommend finding an occupational therapist in your area?
He asked me, how would you recommend finding an occupational therapist in my area? The TBRI practitioner list, they do specialize, say what we are. And so you can find an occupational therapist through that. Also, I am trying really hard to make an alliance of occupational therapist, trauma responsive. So that's going to be called ATROT, A-T-R-O-T. Hopefully you'll be able to go to ATROT and find some of us as well. The other thing I will say, and this is a question I get asked a lot, is when you meet your OT, ask them questions. Have you had any training in trauma responsiveness? Can I give you some of, the KPICD resources? Are you willing to learn? If they're not willing to learn and work with you, then they're probably not really trauma responsive. A good trauma responsive therapist is also going to be open to you being in the room with them, if at all possible. There are times when I can't have clients back because of HIPAA and I've got another client in the room with me. There are reasons and times that I can't have you back there with me. But for the most part, if they're trauma responsive, they recognize that I can't do everything in an hour a week. I need to teach you what to do in your hour a week so that you can carry it over at home. And I need to work with you and your sensory preferences as much as I am with the child and theirs if it's going to be successful. So that's how you know if you've got a trauma responsive OT. That's a wonderful question. So, all right. Thank you so much for tuning in and learning a little bit more about our sensory processing integrative senses. Thanks.